What is going on, guys? Baint from Aridex Digital. In this video, I'm going to answer the question for you guys. How much do landscapers spend on advertising? Now, it goes without saying that this is not a one-size-fits-all answer based on where you're located, what advertising method we're talking about, and then also what the size of your company is. Those are all factors that could determine how much you can expect to spend when marketing your business, right? So let's break this down. Let's get into some details and maybe lay out a couple hypothetical scenarios for you so you can kind of just get a rough idea, right? So let's talk about where. Based on your location, population size matters, and that's also going to pretty much be directly correlated with the amount of competition that you have, right? Obviously, if you are a landscaper in Atlanta, Georgia, there's going to be a lot more competition there than, let's say, like some random kind of rural town in Georgia somewhere else, right? And then also because of the amount of competition and because of the population, there's going to be a higher like search result or people that are looking for landscaping services. So naturally, the price of advertising in those regions kind of goes up proportionately, right? Now let's also talk about what method we're using to advertise, right? You've got like EDDM, like everyday direct mail, postcards, flyers, stuff like that. You've got SEO and like web design stuff. You've got paid ads. Those are probably like the biggest ones, the biggest categories, I guess. Let's break this down a little bit further. And we'll just call this like physical marketing, right? Or like boots on the ground, in person, not digital. And then these are kind of more under the digital category, right? And then maybe who is it that's advertising? What is the size of your business? What are you guys doing revenue wise? Because that's obviously going to determine what methods are available for you and kind of might determine what route you go down as far as what makes sense for you and what makes sense for your budget. And, just kind of what you are, what's actually accessible and what might be worthwhile for you to get actual results. So to break this down a little bit further, to kind of lay something out that's kind of, I guess, just the general rule of thumb when it comes to marketing or advertising spend, right? Obviously, you just want to do what gets you the best ROI. You want to look at marketing and advertising as an investment and not an expense. This is money that you are putting into your business with the hopes of getting back some, right? Ideally, you say, hey, we're going to do SEO. Hey, we're going to do Google ads, whatever. And if we can get this system up and running, we know that we can put $1 in and get $2 out, right? So your ROAS would be two times the return on your ad spend, right? You double your money. You put $1 in, you get $2 out. Any method that you choose is going to have a different ROI. It's going to have a different amount of time, money, or something that you need to put in order to get that investment back out, right? So now let's talk about where. And depending on where you're at with your business, it might determine what methods are going to be good for you. So I'm going to break this into a couple different categories. We'll do sub 100K or like just starting. So we're going to call this the newbies. Welcome to the landscaping game. You've got like 100K to 250K. This is like, you've got your business kind of set up, you're cooking. You've got, 30, 40, 50 clients, whatever. And you're on your way to cracking that $250,000, or you're there and you are on the fence. You maybe got like one crew, one truck, a couple crew members, 2-3 guys, 2-3 employees. Like these numbers are very possible with that. And then let's say like 250 to $1 million plus. Now there's a very wide, that's a wide category. There's obviously a lot of stages and levels within that, but these three things are pretty much the biggest breakdowns. Once you get above 250K to $1 million, your budget's going to be, probably a little more healthy. But really in these couple beginning stages is where things get a little scrappier, right? We got to make sure that our investments are paying off. We got to make sure that any money that we put into the business is paying us back in some way, shape, or form, right? So if you are sub 100K, right? If you are just getting started, maybe it's your first year in business, second year in business, something like that. You might be the chuck in a truck. You might be on your own. You might have one employee, a helper like that, something. You're off to the races. You're getting started, but you haven't cracked that six-figure mark yet. I can tell you that the difference between you being where you're at now and cracking that six-figure mark is going to be your marketing, right? You're going to have to come up with some sort of system for generating, new clients, right? If you're below 100K, which means if you average it out, you're making like between 8 and 10K a month, right? If you can take 1,000 of that and spend it on advertising, you're going to be doing pretty good. And you might not need to do that right away, but I can tell you that the best thing you're going to want to do is get a website and a Google business profile. Now, good news, the Google business profile is completely free to make. So that is going to cost you $0. A website, you can do it yourself for free as well if you really, really want to. I've seen plenty of guys cook up their own Wix, Squarespace site, something like that. It might be a move at the beginning, but I can tell you that later down the line, you're probably going to want to get something a little more professionally made. Your website is your online business card. It's going to reflect your business as a whole. And also, what you really want to do is take your website and your Google business profile and turn these two things into assets that generate leads for your business. And in order to do that, they need to be professional looking, they need to be managed properly, and they also need to be ranking in Google. And I have yet to meet a landscaper that can slap up a website they did themselves and have it rank in Google for multiple keywords, multiple areas, and have it do really, really well for them, right? So at some point down the line, you're going to cross the bridge of having to get a website made. And in the consultations that I've done in the past, I've seen this scenario happen over and over where the person's like, hey, I just wanted to slap up a website just to have it. I did it myself. And then they bring that website to myself or someone else and they say, hey, what can you do to this website to make it rank in Google? And I'm like, well, we basically need to start over. So instead of wasting your time and effort and having to learn how to build a website just to make a shitty website, and no offense, I'm sure there's some of you guys that probably make, decent ones, but generally speaking, stay in your lane. You're great at landscaping and running your business, and you've got enough hats that you're wearing already. Don't try and be a web designer on top of that. It's just going to be a waste of time because you're going to have to get another website made in the future anyways. So I can tell you that you can probably spend between $500 and like 5,000 on a website right off the bat. Now you don't have to get that crazy. But generally speaking, there's pretty good websites out there. I don't necessarily want to discuss my pricing because it fluctuates a little bit based on the time of year and how busy I am and stuff like that. But to give you kind of a ballpark, and also we kind of custom tailor our solutions to our clients' needs, right? Some guys need a simple homepage, services, about us, contact, and it's done. Some people need a fully built out 20 service pages, all this so depending on the size and the scale of what they need, I can tell you that I personally do websites from anywhere between $1,000 and like 2,500. And that's very realistic. And the 2,500 will get you something pretty banging, right? So there's that, right? To get started, $1,000, $2,500, get you a website, get something up and running, get something that's going to potentially be able to generate clients for you. And out of the box, you're getting something that's good, right? Now, additionally, you're probably going to want to get some yard signs and some business cards. For like $100, you can get some really great business cards and yard signs made. So maybe call that like 200, right? $100 will get you a box of business cards. 200, another $100. I know there's a lot of yard sign companies that are doing like $100 for 100 signs, something like that. Pretty easy to get taken care of. And then honestly, it's not necessarily an essential thing, but some company t-shirts or some sort of physical branding on your truck, stuff like that. Maybe it's going to run you, $500 to get some nice t-shirts and a design made for those and stuff like that. Not something you have to do right off the bat. I can tell you from personal experience, I grew my landscaping company from 0 to multiple six figures with me and my partner and our employees showing up in wife beaters and Timberlands. Like, you know what I mean? Like it wasn't the best move professionally. We had to, change that at some point. But what I'm saying is we were running a six-figure business showing up in plain white t-shirts and a ball cap. So you can get it done. It's not essential, but if you got a couple extra dollars laying around, invest in your company's professionalism and your image. I would recommend doing it. Don't be like me. Don't be showing up with a wife beater, and it's not the best move. Just do something with it eventually, right? It doesn't have to be right away. Like I said, you can get plenty done with a plain white tee, but investing in some company t-shirts at some point is a good look. If you're at the 6-figure point, congratulations. First of all, you've hit a milestone. That's great. This is when things get exciting. When you're running a landscaping business and you're doing 6 figures and beyond, this is when you've got a real business on your hand. You've probably got a truck, really decent equipment, maybe an employee or two. Like, things are getting real, right? So this is where if you don't have a website yet, you definitely want one. If you haven't been collecting reviews on your Google Business Profile, you definitely should be. And this is really where I'd say, okay, start investing in SEO. Now, for SEO, which is search engine optimization, basically taking your website and your Google Business Profile, getting them to rank in Google, you can pretty much expect to pay somewhere between $1,000 to $2,000 a month for this. Industry wide, that's pretty standard. If you're paying less than that, I feel like you're probably just not getting the best service, or the results that you're going to get maybe aren't the best. So I would probably say, you can pretty safely bank on spending around $1,000 to $2,000 a month. For SEO. For Google ads and Facebook ads, it's probably going to be around the same, like $1,000, $500 a month, something like that. For management fees, maybe even more than that, depending on what kind of agency you're working with. And then you're also going to need a little bit of money for ad spend. Now, personally, I recommend spending around $20 a day, whether that be on Google or Facebook. That's generally speaking, kind of just what it takes to get the ball moving and to get enough data into your ad account to where it actually starts to get enough information to make algorithmic changes and start getting better results. So I would say if you have that, it would be probably around $1,000 a month for the management, and then between $600 and $1,000 a month in ad spend. So you're looking at like between $1,600 to $2,000 a month if you want to run like Google or Facebook ads, pretty much around the same as like SEO, right? With ad spend included. That's digital marketing as well. If you're at this point and you've got a little budget left over, first of all, I would recommend starting with the digital side of things because it's going to get you a way higher return than some of the physical marketing stuff. But at this point in time, you definitely are going to want to get you some yard signs. If your truck isn't wrapped yet, that's something that I would consider. Now, it's kind of hard to break down pricing on these kind of things because a truck wrap where I am and with the people that I know that do it might be a totally different price compared to what you're trying to do. And it also depends on colors and how complex your design is, all this stuff, right? So kind of hard to give you a ballpark number on that. But somewhere in this range, you're going to want to start considering doing some more branding with your company vehicles and your employees' trucks, hats, t-shirts, stuff like that, right? So if you're doing $250K to $1 million, first of all, the website is, if you don't have it and you're doing above this, your word of mouth is probably really strong. You've been in business for multiple years, right? But you really want your website established and ranked. So you've probably taken care of the SEO side of things. Hopefully if you've got a website that's ranking, you're doing SEO on top of that. Really a great complementary service to that would be like Google ads. So if you're doing all of that together, you're probably looking at anywhere between like 2,500 to upwards of like 3,000 plus, depending on your ad spend budget. It's probably going to be around there, maybe a little bit higher as well. If you're doing 250K to $1 million, like again, this is a huge range. So let's just talk like 250K plus, right? What is that? 250K is like somewhere between 20 and 30 grand a month. So if you're doing that, spending 10% of your revenue every single month on advertising is pretty good. You know what I mean? If you can afford to do that, you can expect pretty consistent growth of the company over time, right? Because again, with marketing and advertising, you want to put money in for getting money back later, right? Getting more clients, which generates revenue later. So yeah, website's got to be on point. SEO, you got to be ranking at this point. Google ads can be great for driving more traffic and awareness and maybe pushing your the website is ranking for local services in your local area and maybe a couple of towns that you also additionally branch off into. Google's really great for doubling down with the amount of traffic and visibility you're getting in that area and then expanding the service area as well. This, if you're doing 250K to $1 million, again, that 20 to 30K a month range, you've got a little more. I would cover all of your digital bases first. Website, SEO, Google Ads, maybe some Facebook retargeting, taking people that have been to your website and showing them Facebook ads and kind of just bringing them back into the pool of customers for you, or just staying on the top of their mind. That can be really, really effective. This is where I would start doing maybe some more like direct mail. Doing some press releases can be great too. Getting featured in like news outlets, stuff like that. Press releases going to run you probably $1,000 and up to get featured in like news outlets, stuff like that. EDDM, this one, again, it really depends on the service provider you're using. I've heard from clients of mine that they've spent $7,000 to $8,000 on direct mail. Not sure what that got them as far as how many thousands of deliveries or postcards were sent, but this obviously includes the cost of printing the cards, shipping the cards, and all of that stuff. I would recommend if you've got a significant budget, right? And again, all of your other bases are covered. This is where maybe the postcard, the mailing, the direct mail stuff starts to come into the play a little bit more. This is something that isn't as viable, I don't think, for the lower tiers here, like 100K to 200K. It's just to spend 7,000 or 8,000 in sending thousands of cards. I don't know if you're going to be able to generate enough work to make that worth it for you. However, if you're in this higher category and you have a bigger budget, with this 7,000 or 8,000, I would make sure that whatever service you're using allows you to target the specific areas that you want those cards to be delivered in. And I would start to go after higher income areas, and I would be advertising your highest ticket service, right? And this is kind of something that's generally speaking best practice with like Google ads or Facebook ads as well. It's hard to make that ROI, the return on your investment, if you're spending $20 a day to generate leads for lawn mowing services and you're doing cuts for like $50, right? That's basically, you're going to have to be closing one client every 2 days to break even on your ad spend. That's tough sometimes, right? There are guys that I've done it for that made it work and it happened for them. But generally speaking, if you're going to do paid advertising, you're going to want to invest the money into your highest ticket service. So instead of running ads for lawn mowing, which again, if you want to, it can work. It's great. It's possible, but just keep in mind your return on investment is going to be lower because the cost of the ticket of your service isn't necessarily always enough to offset the cost of the advertising itself. But where it does make a difference is in the long term, right? So you mow a client's lawn for 50 or $60 and you do that every week for a year. Every client is worth, $1,000 to $2,000 a year for you, right? So if you can add 50 or 60 clients to your mowing list with a paid ad campaign, well, it's worth it, but you're just going to take that hit financially ahead of time because you're paying 20, 30, maybe a little bit lower than that for the leads, right? And you're not closing every single one of them. And it's just what I'm trying to get at is with the lower ticket services, the financial investment that you're spending to get those leads won't pay off right away. It's in the long term. It's that fourth or fifth cut where now that lead has paid for itself and everything after that is a return on that ad spend. So the delay between putting the money in and getting the money back is a little more. If you run ads for a paver patio or a retaining wall or some lighting or irrigation, something like that, where it's $1,000 plus for the service and you're spending less than $1,000 to get that lead, which in most cases is very possible. That's where, okay, now all of a sudden it's very measurable as far as money in and money out. And a lot of times, just to be completely real, if you're in this bracket of 250K to $1 million, you probably offer higher ticket services. You probably do some higher level landscape installs. You probably do some hardscaping work as well. because in my experience, running my own landscaping business, the lawn mowing and the lawn care, the regular maintenance was great. Our mowing list was worth about 30K at its peak, which is awesome. And that's the recurring revenue that the business can feed off of, and the bills that get paid off of that money and stuff like that. But what really drove us into the higher ends of this second category here was the landscaping projects, right? The trees, the plantings, the tree removal, the higher ticket, the $1,000 plus jobs. Those are the ones that are really going to just put money in the bank for your business, right? So if you're going to be advertising and spending money on those, that's really where it starts to make a lot more sense. And that ROI is going to be higher for you. And the justification of spending a couple $1,000s a month on these ads, if they're generating tens of thousands, well, it makes a lot more sense, right? So I hope that gives you a kind of a better idea as far as what services you can be buying, what makes sense at what levels, what you can kind of generally expect as far as some pricing and stuff goes. If you have any questions, guys, feel free to leave them in the comments. I'll be sure to answer them for you, and maybe just make a whole nother video about it. Who knows? But yeah, if you guys are a landscaping business and you're looking for help with some of these marketing services, feel free to check out the first link in the description. You can book a one-on-one consultation call with me. We'll go through everything related to these services in your business, figure out kind of what makes sense for you with where you're at, what your budget is, and what's going to get you that best return on investment. All right. So if that's something you're interested in, check out the first link in the description. If not, like and subscribe. You made it this far. You're 21 minutes into the video. If you got something from this, which I'm guessing you did, you wouldn't have stuck around this long if you didn't. Like I said, definitely subscribe, drop a like on the video. It helps me out a lot. And stick around because we've got more landscape marketing content coming very, very soon. All right. Stay up, guys. Hope you have a great day. Peace out.